So you had 5 American presidents. The Vietnam War spanned 5 American presidents. Truman, Eisenhower, JFK, LBJ, and Nixon. Ford is going to end the Vietnam War. Gerald Ford. Gerald motherfucking Ford, who was born Leslie Jones III. So you have 5 American presidents that got us more and more involved. Starting out with Truman. He just like threw out 35 military advisors. But that got worse and worse and worse. Truman, Eisenhower, then JFK really fucking escalated. 400 up to 16,000. And then LBJ took it up to 500,000. And then Nixon went ahead and started a war in Cambodia and Laos. So he went ahead and expanded Vietnam to 3 or 4 or 15 more wars. 5 American presidents. It's almost like the FBI, right? It's like J. Edgar Hoover could span all these presidents. You have the military-industrial complex and the deep state can maintain and outlast the presidents. It's also 5 American presidents. All of them are culpable. All of them are responsible. And then once the next one gets it, it's like they got to just carry on with the fucking crazy. The conservative estimates is 58,000 Americans were killed, 3 million Vietnamese. I've heard 4 million Vietnamese. I've also heard 75,000. 75,000 and 4 million Vietnamese. So that's, 3 million Vietnamese, 4 million Vietnamese, give or take 1 million. The word Comanche means enemy. What does that mean? Does that mean you're the enemy? No, that means I'm the Comanche. Wait, did you do that right? Not exactly. Comanche, the word Comanche means enemy. So you know what that makes me? Yeah, it makes you the enemy. No, it makes me Comanche. Hey, LBJ, how many kids did you kill today? Hey, LBJ, how many kids did you kill today? I didn't start the fire. It's been burning since the world's been turning. So what did Truman and Eisenhower, what was their involvement, right? I mean, 16,000. That's JFK, right? JFK, 400 to 16,000. That's pretty substantial. Was Truman and Eisenhower, as substantial as JFK? Let's take a look at this. Truman is going to be the first motherfucker with the domino theory and the communist, and we got to fight the communist. Truman first pledged troops to Vietnam. He was the first one to pledge it, and then he's the first one to do it. 35, MAAG, M-A-A-G, military, A-A-G, Vietnam. We squandered. Vietnam absolutely loved America. Vietnam loved FDR. FDR was for self-determination. He was against imperialism. He was against colonialism. FDR dies and fucking Truman gets in there and then fucks up the whole fucking thing. FDR was opposed to the French colonization. He didn't want the French to go back and colonize Vietnam. We'll say, what is it, UN Charter? He said he believed in the right to self-determination. FDR was a good man. During World War II, Ho Chi Minh got weapons from the CIA's predecessor, the Office of the Strategic something, helped to locate downed American planes and gathered intelligence on Japanese locations. What does that mean? That means Vietnam helped us fight World War II. Vietnam was on our side fighting against the French, fighting against the Japanese. Wait, against the French? Later on against the French, but against the Japanese occupiers. The Japanese were occupying. We overthrew the Japanese, and so they loved us. World War II. So Ho Chi Minh got money from America during World War II. He helped to find American planes that went down. Here's some American pilots saved their lives, gathered intelligence on Japanese locations. We were very popular in Vietnam. In 1945, when the war was over, we overthrew the brutal Japanese occupiers of Vietnam. Even Ho Chi Minh started off very pro-American. In 1945, September 2nd, Vietnam had their own Declaration of Independence. And he wrote a letter to Truman over and over again. Fucking Harry Truman, such a piece of shit. February 28th, 1946, there was a letter that was written. February 28, 1946. Ho repeatedly wrote Truman. Ho did some land reform. JFK tried to get Diem to do some land reform. Lincoln's Homestead Act was land reform. Lincoln created the greenback dollar, modern-day America, Second U.S. Revolution. Truman. 1947, Truman said he'd fight against communism. 1950, Korea War began. China and USSR gave weapons to Ho Chi Minh. Truman sent a multi-million-dollar package in 1950. Multi-million-dollar package, September 1950. This is the beginning. When did the Vietnam War begin? When Truman sent 35 military advisors in airplanes and off-road jeeps. And the MAAG is Military Assistance Advisory Group. He sent a MAAG group, a Military Assistance Advisory Group. Airplanes, jeeps, 35 advisors, multi-million-dollar package. That's a nice little beginning. Here's a nice little beginning. So get the toehold, get your foot in the door, and then you set up a federal base, and then you occupy the world. I saw this picture of Eisenhower. He was smiling almost too gaily. Just thought Diem was the damnedest, the brightest diamond. Eisenhower's just beaming. He's just smiling too gaily, I think. And Diem is just kind of, he's got a nice part. Diem has he's a nice Catholic, well-dressed, suits. He's for freedom and democracy. He hates communism. So he's just right there, consistent with, Eisenhower and then Cold Warrior, right? So fucking Truman and Eisenhower with the Cold War. 1957, John Foster Dulles was there too. So Diem is going to get killed in 63. Eisenhower, Diem, and John Foster Dulles, 1957 picture. Truman wasn't anti-colonialist like FDR was. So, well, that sucks. We had FDR, now we got is this fucking Truman. 1951, you know what JFK said in 1951, which would be the Eisenhower, right? 1950s or the Eisenhower generation. JFK said that American efforts to help the French in defiance of innately nationalistic aims spells foredoomed failure. Huh. In defiance of innately nationalistic aims spells foredoomed failure. Yeah, they think they're themselves and they're going to fight to defend themselves. So the revolution is the self-defense principle of a nation. 1954, JFK again said, I am frankly of the belief that no amount of American military assistance can conquer an enemy which is everywhere and at the same time nowhere. JFK knew exactly what was going on in 1954 and 1951, and he criticized our, involvement in Vietnam, which is what the fuck? JFK's criticizing Truman and Eisenhower's involvement, and then he's going to escalate it, and then LBJ is going to escalate it, and then Nixon is going to escalate it, and then Gerald Ford is just going to basically be the douchebag that, has to eat the biscuit, but just because the Democrats pulled the purse strings and we just had to deal with whatever fucking fallout came out with it. So that's Truman. So that's Truman, right? Truman was, 1945 to the next election. Another 4 years? Was it another 4 years on top of that till 49? And then Eisenhower, right? 1950. No, Truman sent the shit in 1950. So, okay. Truman basically sent us 35, not the biggest, worst thing. He sent 35 military advisors and some jeeps and some airplanes. September 1950. That didn't have to start the Vietnam War, They didn't have to begin it. That could have just been the end of that, right? Just tried something and it was like, okay, that didn't work. Let's just go to Laos or something. You just want to go to Cambodia or something? I mean, why are we... Apparently there were supposed to be some kind of elections. Diem had backed out thinking that Ho Chi Minh would win. So isn't that interesting? Even though Diem has a nice Catholic part, he's got that parted hair, looks like a good old tomboy. Good old Tom, George, and Tom, Dick, and Harry boy. Diem backed out thinking Ho would win. Eisenhower said of Diem, he was the greatest of statesmen, an example for everybody everywhere who hates tyranny and loves freedom. So he loved Diem. He thought he was great. Vietnam was to have elections, but Diem backed out thinking that Ho would win. So Eisenhower went on with the fucking domino theory too, right? Once one nation state tasted the deliciousness that was communism, then all the other bastard nations would fold as well. Wait a second, maybe we should give a shit about one another. Maybe we should care about the community. Maybe we should give a shit about one another. So Ho Chi Minh is the George Washington, the founder of Vietnam. He's sitting there saying, remember your, goddamn declaration. Remember how you guys want to be free of your oppressors and you're free from your imperialists, and did everything, right? The Bill of Rights, Constitution, 3 branches of government, did everything that George Washington did. And then we as Trumanites were like, That was America back in the 1700s. Now we're the Roman Empire. We don't give a shit about those so-called freedoms and civil liberties. Citizenship? Voting rights? Ha ha ha. No. It's fascist Nazi land here, you sons of bitches. Ho Chi Minh said it was basically up to America what their relationship was going to be. If America wanted 20 years of war, then that's what Ho was up for it. If America wanted peace, Ho was up for it. So he's like, I'll meet you on the field of battle, and I'll exchange blow for blow. 25 years, 1950 to 1975 is how long the Vietnam War. It would span 6 presidents, right? 5 escalating presidents, and then 1 ending president. And Gerald Ford, because the legislature and the Congress forced him to. They cut the purse strings. They had no more money. That's the power of the Congress, the purse strings. They cut the purse strings. There was no money, just enough money to get the troops back home. That's it. Eisenhower sent Diem money and weapons, $2 billion in aid from 1955 to 1960, and increasing military advisors to 1,000. So Eisenhower increased. So Truman barely kind of got into it. You had the entire 50s, right? So Jesus Christ, JFK is sitting there criticizing the shit out of them. And then he's going to become president and do the exact same fucking thing. Isn't that something? How motherfuckers co-opt the mood. Ho Chi Minh said, so Eisenhower sent Diem money, increased the advisors to 1,000, $2 billion in aid from 55 to 60. JFK put 400 military advisors in Vietnam just after the Bay of Pigs fiasco in 1961. So he gets in office, tries to invade Cuba, fucks up. 100-something soldiers are killed. Cuban exiles, and then 1,200 are captured. The whole thing's a fiasco. One guy fucking runs off into the forest, and that's it. So over 100 killed, 1,200 captured, and then no victories whatsoever. It was during the moonlight. It was invaded, and during the moonlight, you could see America, the Cuban exiles at least coming a mile away in American planes. In the beginning of his presidency, JFK is going to put 400 military advisors into Vietnam just after that happened, just after the Bay of Pigs. Well, we fucked up with the Bay of Pigs, but let's 400 military advisors. By the time JFK is killed in November of 1963, he's got 16,000 American soldiers in Vietnam. Nixon lambasted him for that. Ford gets us out of Vietnam in 75 when the Democratic Congress cuts the purse strings. In the White House, let's see, JFK provided South Vietnam. Hold on. Ho Chi Minh means a bright spirit, a clear will. Apparently, he said he lived in Harlem or Boston for like a year. He worked as a baker at the Parker House Hotel. Ho Chi Minh was in America. He wrote to Truman. I wonder if because he was appealing to Truman so many times, Truman was like, this motherfucker likes me too much. You know what? I'm just against all the damn communists. Now, I don't understand this. He was a fucking nationalist, communist. Talk about the worst fucking mistake ever. JFK provided South Vietnam with jet fighters, 300 helicopters, Green Berets, armed personal carriers, river patrol boats. He also authorized the use of napalm and Agent Orange. JFK did the most damage when it came to Vietnam. But he also represented change. And it is a possibility after his second term, he would have been free to do as his conscience told him to do. And since he was against the Vietnam War in the 50s, why wouldn't he be against it in the 60s? He was the president, so I think he was just always kind of like, basically always putting his toe in the water, like wanting to be, be victorious in Vietnam, but knowing the whole damn thing's bullshit. Or at least that's what I want. He's the first modern president. He's got that nice Catholic part too. Looks like a nice, wholesome guy. But authorized the use of napalm. God damn, when I think about the pictures coming out of Vietnam, napalm, Agent Orange, that's going to hurt our troops. 300 helicopters, Green Berets, armored personnel, river patrol, napalm, jet fighters. Like, the advisors are fine. I guess the equipment is fine, but the napalm, Agent Orange, the Gulf of Tonkin resolution is going to happen August 1964. LBJ wants authority to bomb North Vietnam, and he passes it. There's only 2 dissenting votes in the entire Congress. Hubert Humphreys voted for it. Wayne Morse voted against it. Who's Wayne Morse? Don't know, but he had the fucking integrity to stand up against the authoritarian rat bastard LBJ. That was right before the election, August 64. So Ho Chi Minh used to live in America. Ho Chi Minh had a 10,000 guerrilla force. Viet Minh, the Viet Cong. He started out with 10,000 and he overthrew the Japanese in 1941. He went back. He was all over the place getting his education in England and wherever. But he's going to fight against the Japanese. And the French, I don't understand the French. I guess we overthrow the Japanese and then the French and America's like occupying, the French stays. I'm not for sure about the French. But in 1941, we're going to help them overthrow the Japanese. That's why they liked us. They liked FDR. They liked America. They modeled themselves after America. They wrote themselves a Declaration of Independence. The CIA, the Office of Strategic Services, the OSS. The SS, yeah, fucking, that sounds like Nazi shit. Strategic Services. Just go ahead on down to the Office of the Strategic Services. Is that your covert spy agency? Is that the CIA? No, I mean, yeah, but we're calling it Strategic Services. A nice bland name that nobody... Just go down to the SS office. The SS office, huh? Gave him money, arms, probably jailed in China by Chiang Kai-shek. Ho Chi Minh is going to go to jail in China. And then he's going to get rescued by the Chinese communist. Chi means spirit or will. You got good chi. A good chi, right? Chi. And then Minh is bright. So his name, Ho, is a common surname. So it's just kind of like John, right? John... Bright will. John, bright spirit, clear will. Squanto means divine rage. A good, strong, and pure conscience is divine rage. Rage from God, a righteous rage. A good old Tisquantum kind of rage. Good old Tisquantum. Tisquantum. He was the only one that was left. He was the only one left of his whole band. What was the... You had the Wampanoag people, and you had the, you know... all the other ones. But Tisquantum, what did he call himself? He called himself, damn it, Patuxent. He was a Patuxent native, like the last one, the last of the Patuxents. The last of the Mohicans, no, the last of the Patuxents. That's why he was Tisquantum. That's why he was Divine Rage. That motherfucker was pissed. Hey, Englishman, I'm Divine Rage. At your service. Divine Rage, right at your service here. Between 1961 and 1963, 40,000 communist soldiers infiltrated South Vietnam. 40,000 communists, that was during JFK. JFK was not successful in the least bit in terms of winning Vietnam when it comes to the peace, when it comes to the protests, when it comes to the way Gerald Ford, if anything, he escalated. He was an LBJ. He was a Nixon. So it's almost like we put our hopes onto JFK. He was young, parted his hair, looked wholesome. So we were, you know, hopefully you could try to force your president to be the wholesome person that you know he can be. Lincoln got in there and took slavery out in one fell swoop. James Polk got in there and took half of Mexico. He basically just don't fuck up, right? Don't get us started in no shit. MS-13 has got about 10,000 members, and then Ho Chi Minh started out with 10,000 troops, and George Washington, he was able to fight the premier empire of his day with only 10 to 12,000 troops. So 10,000 troops don't, you know, fucking, don't shake a feather, a lamb's feather at no 10,000 troops. He's got 10,000 troops. Be cautious. Be fucking skeptical. Be very wary. If you know, old Joey Bob has got 10,000 soldiers under his command. Well, that Joey Bob he eats pudding with his fingers like a fucking savage. Pudding. He eats it with his fingers. Joey Bob's got 10,000 troops. Holy shit. I guess every governor does kind of have. How many troops, how many cops are? At least 10,000, right? Every governor at least has about 10,000. And what's my point? Well, baby boomers are racist piles of child abusing pieces of shit, and is America irredeemably racist? I don't know, but Nick Villela is, and a lot of the group servers are. I wish I could say unequivocally no to that shit, but I know people that are fucking racist. And if there wasn't a support system around here, why would they feel comfortable being fucking racist piles of shit? And I don't know many anti-racists. So fuck the violent piles of shit. Fuck the child abusers and the racist, criminal, fucking hater, ugly, hate-filled, rat bastard fucks of society. Fuck criminal, terrorist, sovereign piles of shit. Fuck the superstitious, fuck the ignorant, fuck the tyrannical, fuck the hypocritical, fuck the liars, and fuck the criminals. Fuck the goddamn motherfucking criminals, you motherfuckers. Fuck the goddamn criminals, you motherfuckers.